The cold November wind cut through Jasper, Indiana, a small town where the diner's neon sign flickered like a heartbeat against the gray dusk. Ellie Harper, 34, stood behind the counter of Millie's diner, her hands trembling as she poured coffee for Old Man Tucker. Her apron was stained, her chestnut hair pulled into a messy bun, and her hazel eyes carried the weight of a life unraveling. 3 months ago, her husband Tom died in a car accident, leaving her with a mountain of medical bills, a foreclosed home, and their 7-year-old daughter Lila, who hadn't smiled since summer. Ellie's shift was ending, but the ache in her chest never did. The diner, with its checkered floor and vinyl booths, smelled of grease and nostalgia, a place where locals swapped stories over pie. Tonight, though, the air felt heavy. The bank had called again. Foreclosure was days away. Ellie had $47 in her account, and Lila's winter coat was too small. She wiped her eyes, forcing a smile as she handed Tucker his check. At the corner booth, a stranger sat alone. He was in his late 20s, wiry, with a faded army jacket and a face shadowed by stubble. He'd been nursing a black coffee for an hour, his duffel bag slumped beside him like a loyal dog. Ellie noticed his hands, calloused, shaking slightly as he counted loose change. She'd seen that look before, hunger, pride, and something broken. "Refill?" she asked, approaching his table. He looked up, startled, his blue eyes sharp yet guarded. "Nah, I'm good, thanks." His voice was low, tinged with a southern drawl. Ellie nodded but lingered. "You new around here?" "Just passing through," he said, glancing out the window at the darkening street. "Name's Caleb." "Ellie." She hesitated, then slid into the booth across from him. "You look like you've been on the road a while." Caleb's jaw tightened. "Yeah. Lost. My job in Louisville. Been drifting." He didn't mention the VA hospital, the PTSD, or the sister he hadn't seen in years. But Ellie saw it, the same raw grief she carried. The diner's bell jingled as the last customers left. Ellie glanced at the clock. 7:58 p.m. Lila was with her grandma, probably drawing in her sketchbook, her little face still too quiet. Ellie's heart clenched. She couldn't lose the house, not Lila's home, not the last piece of Tom. "You got a place to stay tonight?" she asked Caleb. He shrugged, eyes on his coffee. "I'll figure it out." Ellie's mind raced. She had nothing to give, no money, no stability. But she thought of Tom, who'd once given his last $20 to a homeless vet outside a gas station. "Kindness don't cost a thing," he'd said, grinning. She made a choice. "Hold on." Ellie walked to the counter, grabbed a to-go bag and filled it with leftover meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and a slice of pecan pie. She slid it across to Caleb. "On the house." His eyes widened. "I can't." "You can," she said firmly. "And there's a cot at St. Mary's Shelter. Tell him Ellie sent you." Caleb stared at the bag, then at her. "Why are you doing this?" She swallowed hard. "'Cause I know what it's like to feel like the world's given up on you." The next morning, Ellie arrived at the diner to find a line out the door, unusual for a Tuesday. Inside, the air buzzed. Locals whispered, pointing to a handwritten sign taped to the counter. "Pay what you can day. All proceeds to Ellie Harper's family." Her breath caught. "Who?" Millie, the diner's owner, pulled her aside. "That boy Caleb came by at dawn, told me your story. Said he'd bust tables all day if I'd start a fundraiser. Whole town's pitching in." Ellie's knees buckled. She looked across the room where Caleb was clearing plates, his army jacket slung over a chair. He met her gaze and gave a small nod, like he'd just done what needed doing. By nightfall, the town had raised $12,000, enough to save Ellie's house. Lila ran into the diner, her too small coat flapping, and threw her arms around her mom. For the first time in months, she smiled. As the crowd cheered, Ellie found Caleb by the door, his duffel bag packed. "You're leaving?" she asked, voice thick. "Got a sister in Ohio," he said. "Think it's time I see her." Ellie hugged him, tears falling. "You changed everything." Caleb smiled faintly. "You did that first." He walked into the night, the diner's glow fading behind him. Ellie stood with Lila's hand in hers, surrounded by neighbors who'd become family. The wind still howled, but inside, it felt like spring.